All right, another episode of social media for your boring business, and I am going to host a live with others. Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Molly's going live right now. And yay!
This is it.
Yay! Okay, we did it. We did
Oh
it.
my God. Like, seriously, the last 2 weeks, I spent so much of the live trying to figure out how to make us look like this rather than like the first one I did, they were really small, and the second one, I was like adjusting it the whole time. And so now I know. So, yay, thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. No, I'm excited. I'm like, I don't know, but I'll attempt to do that and see how it goes.
Yes, perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm super excited. If you're just joining us, I do this live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central. My name is Jen, and I am hosting some really amazing people. I guess I'm not hosting because we're co-hosting, but I'm having conversations with some really amazing people, and we are all a part of a mastermind with Rachel Peterson. So if you are into marketing or business, you may have come across her in the past. But that's how we all got connected. We're all a part of a group that I love because it's like 100 digital marketers that all specialize in slightly different things. And so whenever I'm working on client work, I always have somebody to call on. I am super excited. I'm here with Molly. So Molly, why don't you tell a little bit about you and kind of like what your specialty is and what you do?
Sure. So I'm a marketing strategist, but I focus primarily on messaging and content. I'm also a copywriter, although I'm moving away from that at the moment. So I really help people who say, like, I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to say it. So they want to talk about their business, but they feel like the way that they're doing it is really disorganized or disjointed, and they don't know how to kind of like go out there with a really solid message and say, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's how I help people, because they haven't taken the time to kind of figure that out. So I do that through coaching, and I coach my clients to kind of figure out who they are in the online space with their business, and then how to take that message and infuse it into the different aspects of their marketing. So maybe it's their emails or their web copy or their social media content.
Yeah, I really love that. And if you're not following Molly, I definitely recommend following her and checking out her TikTok because she's doing this really cool series
Oh
right
yeah.
now, where she is like dissecting your brand colors. And as somebody who loves to know, like, everybody likes to know about themselves. And so you're like, what do my brand colors mean for me? And I thought that was really cool. Because my colors are purple, and purple is the color of royalty. And actually, on TikTok a couple years ago, not a couple years ago, I don't know when it was, but I saw this really cool video of this creator like dissecting the color purple and how it really wasn't a color that was used or found in nature, and then it like came about, and it's always had this kind of like mystical vibe to it. It
Mhm.
was so cool. And so then what you said like kind of aligned with that, and I love that. But like I said, check out Molly's videos and you can comment on them, and she'll do your brand colors as well. I feel like you've gotten a lot of interest from very feminine colors. I haven't seen any like really masculine ones, so I would be interested to see. A lot of my clients are like uh use like red, yellow, and blue, so I should ask you that one, and because
Right.
that's like so specific and so different than like what a coach or photographer or like marketing strategist would probably use. So
Right.
I'll have
And
to,
it's funny because I think like a lot of my clients, because I came from wedding world, so like my brand is
yeah.
very feminine. So a lot of the people that are attracted to me are like very feminine brands, which obviously I love. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to kind of like do a brand like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Jen. I specialize in social media for service-based industry. I work with a lot of plumbers and HVAC, kind of like businesses that people would think would be really boring on social media, and we make them really fun on social media. We use a lot of video content, and we use a lot of platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We put video everywhere. Okay, so let's get started. I have some questions for you today. The first one being, what do you think really makes an effective message?
So I think that if you want to have an effective message, you need to make sure that you're kind of addressing like three primary areas with your message. So the first part is your client, like who your client is, what they want, what's stopping them from getting that, how is that making them feel. You really need to understand your
Oh,
client
sorry
better than
about that.
no, oh, mine, I'm sure will start barking in a sec. Um, you really have to understand your client better than they understand themselves, and give them words to like to their problem. Those are the people who I see like have a message, and I actually literally just recorded TikTok about this. Like people who have a message that you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't care how much it costs to work with you, I have to work with you. It's because that person has really gotten into their clients' heads and then explained their problem in a way that like their clients like, I know I have these feelings, I know I'm struggling with this thing, and then it's like that person comes out and is like, you're struggling with this, here's why you're struggling with it, here's what you need to do, and you're like, oh my god, yes, like take my money. So you've got to focus on your client first, then you've got to focus on yourself and really setting yourself apart as an authority. And that's really a place where you can kind of like show your heart in your brand and your message. So you want to talk about like, why are you devoting your life to solving this problem with your business? And then what things have you done? What results have you gotten? What people have you helped? Where have you kind of been featured? Things like that. All of that stuff is going to contribute to setting you apart as an authority. Then you're going to look at your process. So this is really going to be like selling the dream to your client and saying like, okay, here's how your life's going to look after we work together. And here's all the really cool things that will happen to you or can happen to you once we solve your problem. Here's all the great things that you'll experience. So your effective message kind of has to incorporate all of those things. And then you kind of have to have a blueprint, which is what I do with my clients in our coaching sessions, is create a blueprint of all of those things so that no matter if we're creating an Instagram post, we're writing an email to our list, or we're doing a new sales page, all of those things, like the things we've identified that our client wants, all of those things are aligned.
Okay, I love that so much. So I think that you really hit on something because I mean, I've been in marketing now for about 5 years, but one thing I've become like really keenly aware of is when people's messaging, it like when it's on point, right? Because it's somebody that I'm watching and I'm like, oh my God, like exactly what you said. Like, I want to work with this person. This person knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then my head is like, how do I do this? Like, I need to do this for my own clients, you know? So I think that that's a really big thing. And I think that in general, it's hard. Like, um, that's not an easy thing to know how to do. And that's why people need people like you who understand how to do this and can help you then apply it so that you're not running ads to a landing page that isn't converting and you're not putting out content that is just no one's paying attention to. So I think that's really big. Okay, so I think that you maybe like obviously you touched on this in a broad sense of like, but how do you set yourself apart with your messaging? And I think you touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, so I definitely would go back to kind of like understanding your client in that way. And then kind of what you were saying before is like, you know, when you do have this message and you understand like what your client is struggling with, well, sometimes it can be hard, like you said, to understand that and to figure that out. And that is what I help my clients do, because it's like people know how to kind of like talk about their business, but they don't
Yeah.
know how to like layer that with effective marketing messaging. So it's like when I'm in these client sessions with people, I'm like, okay, I'm asking them the question, I'm listening, and I'm like, crap. Like none of what you're saying is helpful. And then it's like I get like one piece and I'm like, that's it. Or they'll just
Yeah.
kind of be like, because most people just talk, they'll just talk too much and they'll just kind of like overshare. And so it's like, okay, how can we boil that down to its like simplest form? It's like math, which I hate, but like when you're in fractions and you're like simplest, like I don't even remember what the math term is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like that. And that's what we try to do. And when you do that, that's like when, you know, I'm doing someone's message and I'm like, oh, like it hits. It actually makes sense. I'm hearing what they're saying and I'm like, there it is. Like I just intuitively know. So it's like,
Yeah.
you have to know marketing stuff, but there's also like an intuitive kind of woo-woo element there where you're listening for something that like resonates in your gut. And that's kind of what we create that. So that's really when you can set your message apart. It's not just like, oh, I'm writing really basic, boring sales messaging that nobody really cares about. It's like, I'm actually combining like my heart and my brain together in a message. And that's what's going to resonate because it's like coming from inside of you as opposed to like, you know, just, okay, this is how I talk about my client. It's like, this is genuinely in my heart, like how I feel and how I want to help people.
Yeah. So I think that number one, like some people are just naturally really good at this. And this is like a theory that I've come up with, like that because and it, I mean, I guess it could go both ways, but I think that I really struggle with that communication part personally for myself. But there are people that you see that are really good at it. And those people, unfortunately for some of us, can be really, really good at their marketing right off the bat. But it's really because they intuitively understand how to share this message. And then there's people who just have learned it. I've really been working on learning it, and I get what you're saying because I've been trying to get stuff out of clients where I'm like, no, what is it that you do? And they're like, I create this and this. I'm like, no, like what are you helping? Like when you're talking to people on the phone, like what are they saying to you? Like
Exactly.
how are they expressing to you that you are helping them? Not just like the, like whatever of the exchange of product or service that you're doing, but like how are you helping them reach that next level? Like what is the next level that you're helping them? So I think that that is really important too, like what you just mentioned, that you got to pull it out of people.
Yeah, and they do struggle with that, and it's like like one of the questions that I ask is like, okay, so I call you or I'm coming to you to like help me. So let's say you're a hypnotherapist, and I'm coming to you to help me, and I'm like, this is what I'm struggling with. How can you help me? Whatever you would say, like that thing that you would say on the phone or in a discovery call, like that's got to be part of your messaging. But people sometimes like shy away from that because they feel like they have to be like more formal, and they kind of like they forget. It's like talk to people like they're humans in their sales messaging. Like you don't have to kind of like talk in this like elevated way that doesn't actually sound like you. The best sales messaging is very simple and people can relate to it, and it's very conversational, but also there's like this underweaving of like strategy and sales and marketing in it. But it's like done
Like
in
all
a
of
way
it.
that's like heart-centered plus marketing plus super simple so people get it.
Yeah, I think the simplicity thing is something that, for whatever reason, a lot of business owners like think that it needs to be more like sugar coated or like look fancier than it is. And I was looking at like Super Bowl commercials, and when I saw this Squarespace commercial, I loved it because I immediately, like, the very first thing that they said is Squarespace, it's a website that makes websites. And I was like, oh my God, I know, like Super Bowl commercials, they're spending so much money on it. There's so many people behind it where they're like trying to come up with the very best way to make an impact on people. And it ends up being this like mess of like what am I even watching? And so then you're kind of defeating the entire purpose of spending the money if nobody even knows what you were talking about. And so yes,
Exactly.
like, and the Squarespace commercial was kind of weird, but like to me the messaging was so incredibly clear. And then they like showed a picture of their landing page of Squarespace. And like there's so many business owners that might come back, and be like, no, like we're doing a commercial for the Super Bowl. You can't just show our website. But it's like, okay, but also like I knew exactly what the commercial was for. I knew exactly what they did. And then they like showed it to me. So I think that that's a really great point, is that like you're taking, you're trying to pull things that you're trying to get into your ideal client's head with your messaging, but you also want it to be clear and
Mhm.
make sense and not be, some 30-second commercial about inspiration and then it's a beer commercial, which is like
Well,
so weird.
right. And I think too, like if you think about it, like if you're trying to get into their head, like how are people talking in their own mind?
Yeah.
They're not like talking in this like elevated way with this like,
Yeah,
like high level jargon. They're talking like this sucks. I want to fix this. I hate this. Don't know how this
exactly.
feels. It's like very, base level for lack of a better word. So it's like speak on that level and you'll resonate on that level.
No, that's totally true. That's exactly true. How do people talk to themselves in their head? They're not sitting in their head using all of these like weird words. They're just
Hmm.
saying, my website sucks and I need a new website. Oh, here's
Exactly.
a website that makes websites. Perfect. It's
Exactly.
exactly what I need. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, do I need a brand story? So, does that go along with messaging? Do I need a brand story? Talk a little bit about that.
So when I create a messaging blueprint with clients, that's basically like the different kind of like pieces of their message. So like we talked about, it's all about who their client is, all about who they are in the process of working with them. Then what I do is I take that and I create a brand story out of that. And so having a brand story is helpful because it's kind of like going through your clients or your ideal customers like journey, so it'll kind of like walk them through it, like here's where you're starting off, now I'm going to come in and help you, then we're going to go through this process and life's going to be all hunky-dory on the other side of it. So it can be really helpful. It's usually like a starting point. Like I don't typically have my brand story like completely front facing anywhere. What I'll do is I have it together for myself and my clients, and then we'll go and we'll take pieces of it. We'll take like the copy from it, like one of the sentences or one of the paragraphs, and we'll use that in our web copy, or, you know, we'll use that as a basis for social media posts. But so having a brand story can be helpful there because it's kind of like, okay, here are all the puzzle pieces together in your messaging blueprint. Like the pieces are all on the table. Now we're going to put them together and create your brand story so you can see the full picture of it, because it's hard for people sometimes to put that together in their brain and be like, okay, this relates to this piece in this way, and here's how I would explain this to a client. So I do think it's very helpful. It's obviously not necessary, but it's going to make your message more effective, more consistent, and just easier to understand.
Yeah, I think thinking about that. So, when we were at CCL and Rachel went over the oh crap, I can't think of the word, but where it's like they don't know that they have a problem or a solution, and then they know that they have a problem, but they don't know the solution, and they know what the solution is, but they don't know how to use it. I think that a brand story would be really helpful because that's something that I've noticed with some of my clients that struggle to understand their ideal client. Like they know what they do, they don't know how to market to that person. Is it, a lot of their marketing that they want to do is like about their team or about themselves, and I'm like, no, like nobody knows that you exist. Like not nobody, but like you're on TikTok so that new people can find you. Okay, those people don't care about your team. Like I mean, they just don't. And so you have to like step back. So when you're looking at it, like what you're talking about is setting up this whole story, it really helps you understand like how to talk to the people who have the problem, like how to talk to the people who know what the solution is but don't know how to get there, how to talk to the people that have the solution but don't know that you're the person who is going to give them the solution. So I really love that. And what is that called? The 5 stages of awareness.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it is. And I mean, I think like the big thing is like nobody cares about you unless what you're saying helps them in some way, and like, you know, seek to understand rather than be understood. Like no one cares about you, no one cares about your team, no one cares about any of that. They want to basically know like, you know, what kind of, you know, qualifications potentially you have, but really they want to know about the results. So what results can you get me, and like can you show me some proof that you've gotten these results for other people, so that that can build some trust between us. But yeah, that's the thing about business owners is like we come out and we're like, here's how amazing I am, look at all the things I've done, and people don't care. They literally do not care. Like that's when you lose them. People are like, they, you know, they go through your website and they're looking like, is anything that you're saying helpful for me? Is there value here? Like, are you giving me what I need? No? Okay, then I'm out. They're only looking for stuff that is resonating with them on a certain level because of a problem that they have. So if you tell me about your team, I don't care, because unless you connect your team to how it's going to make my life easier, better, whatever, and solve my problem, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will, for anybody who's like, listening, I will say that there is value in posting about yourself and posting about your team because you can connect with people in that way. It's a way to be relatable. And then when I look at platforms like Facebook or even Instagram on some levels, like those are great places to share about yourself because usually it's a really, really warm audience that's in those platforms. And so that's the other thing that you have to think about. Like, who is this? Where in the funnel are these people? If they're at the very bottom, then they probably want to know a little bit more about you so that they know if they should continue this relationship with you. But if you're talking to a cold audience, talking about yourself and your team is just completely unhelpful. Like you need to get them a lot further down.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that you can talk about yourself in a way that relates to your clients. Like when I'm writing an about page on a website, like I'm writing that about page in a way that's connecting to my client, either like how this person has helped their client overcome a certain thing, or how they can relate to the feelings that their client is having because of their own past experiences. So
Yeah.
I'll do it. You want to do it. But, people don't really want to buy from brands. They want to buy from people. Like we connect with other people. We connect with faces. We don't just want to be nameless, faceless brands, but we have to do that in a way where it's kind of like front facing is, I'm helping you with this problem that you're struggling with, but I'm also going to include some of like me, my personality, who I am, and all of those other ways for people to connect. But I'm leading with like that value or the thing that that person's looking for.
I love that. Okay, so the last question I have, and I know that we've touched on this, but maybe you can just like sum it up. But why is this messaging part of it so important?
So pretty much you want to think about your message as kind of like the main way that you are attracting people to you. It's what you're saying, like in StoryBrand, they say people buy because of the words that they hear. So it's kind of like the stuff that you're saying is what's going to get people to buy from you. So you need to make sure that like it's really effective. It's really drilled down. Like you have gotten to the essence of, those things, who you are, what you do, how you help people, and that you're conveying that in a super clear way so that your audience is like, oh, they're scrolling, and you stop a scroll because what you're saying is actually resonating with people. So it's the words that you're saying that are going to connect with people, cause them to buy from you, cause them to kind of like, deepen the relationship, follow you, whatever it is. So you need to make sure that you know what you're saying, and that you're saying things in a very clear way, in a very consistent way, and a very cohesive way. So across platforms throughout your entire business, that you're kind of looking at it on a 30,000-foot view of, this is my business, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and these are the people that I'm helping. So all of these things that I'm saying are actually furthering that kind of mission for yourself.
Okay, so that makes me think of something. So when you're looking at, first of all, where in people's business, like who are you normally helping? Is it like somebody who's just starting, or is it somebody who's a little bit further along? Like when do people normally come to you? And then when do you think that people should come to you?
So I kind of work with people a little bit all over the map. It's traditionally like in a strategic point. So either like they've started with their business, they've bootstrapped, and they're like, all right, I need to go like next level. And so that's kind of when they'll bring me in and be like, okay, I've gotten here, but I know that I need to like be more strategic about what I'm saying, so that I'm not just kind of like, shooting into the breeze and hoping that it works.
Yeah.
There are some people who come to me like kind of at the beginning and are just like, help me get all of this stuff off the ground in terms of my marketing, like, and I'll coach them through that. When people should come to me, I mean, I think that it's really helpful before you do, obviously like this is what I do. So I'm gonna be like, this is the most important thing for you to do. But I
I
do
could
feel like,
see that though, because it could
yeah.
really play into a lot of things.
Exactly. Like before you do your website and your website copy, you need to know what you're saying. Like before you get on social media, you need to have a strategy, and you need to know what you're saying and who you're saying it to before you get on there, or you're wasting your time. So really focusing on your messaging can actually help you to do all of these other things, because it's creating a firm foundation for your marketing. So in terms of your marketing, before you actually implement, create, do, there's any action behind it, you should sit down and work with me and come up with a strategy and a blueprint for, what you're saying, how you're saying it, and then where you're going to say it, so that you're leveraging your efforts. Because I always say to my clients, like, I don't want to come up with some big crazy strategy that's like, 7 layers deep and 45 pages long, because you're not going to do it. It's too complicated. So sometimes like I worry, I'm like, is this not, complicated enough? Like, should this be more comprehensive? But the more complicated you make it, like the less people are actually going to implement. So my strategies tend to be very simple. Here's the overview. Now go do and implement. And then we can come back and we can add the different layers onto it. But like, simple is key, because, it's like complexity is the enemy of execution. I think that's the saying, something
Yeah.
like that. So, I try to keep it very, very simple for people.
That's awesome. Okay, so shifting just a tiny bit because we're almost out of time here. I think you talked at the beginning about like where and how you can use this, like your website, your social media, your email marketing, pretty much anywhere. What is the best marketing book that you would suggest? Like, what is the best marketing book that you've read that you always suggest to people that you think could help them with this or maybe help them with marketing in the future?
So I think that Unfiltered by Rachel Peterson is definitely like, you're starting your business, you're starting your marketing, like that's like go to. I think if you want to kind of hone in on the messaging piece a little bit, building a story brand is always a classic. But those are kind of like the two main ones that I would suggest to people.
Yeah, I've read both of them. And I really do love the building a story brand one. And of course, I love Rachel, and I feel like we're all her little army, but she's just so, she really is so benevolent with the things that she teaches. And so I love that. Okay, where could people find you if they want to work with you? Where could they learn more? Obviously, here on TikTok is a really great place where they can follow you and learn more about everything that you do and what you teach. But where else do you suggest? And do you have like something that people could grab from you to make their life easier?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok, Branded with a Purpose. It's brandedwithapurpose.com. And in either of the links in my bio on Instagram or TikTok, you can find my Ultimate Brand Messaging Bundle. And that's going to have a bunch of really great free resources for you. There is content prompts, there are sales templates. My website also has a bunch of freebies on it as well. There's like 5 or 6 freebies on that homepage. So there's like a bunch of great resources there as well. But feel free to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, and you'll get more content like this.
Cool. Okay, like I said at the beginning, if you're not currently following Molly, you need to go check out her my favorite thing that she's doing right now, which is her brand. What are you calling that? Like,
What
what
do
do
your
my
brand
brand colors mean?
what do
Yeah,
your brand colors say about you? It's my little series I'm doing.
I think that's so fun. Am I the only one that loves this? I know I'm not. Like, it's probably doing well.
Yeah, a couple of other people have really been like, I love this, do me. So it's been fun, which
Yeah.
is great because it keeps it going. So I just recorded 3 of them before this, so I'm excited to
Yeah, yeah. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm really grateful for your time today, and I definitely learned a lot. This is, for me, not an easy part of marketing, so I'm always grateful to learn from people who are experts at what they do. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central, and that's it. Happy
Awesome.
Valentine's Day.
Thanks, Jen.
All
Bye.
right, thanks. Bye.